The movie begins with Jania living with her daughter Arya. Just a few scenes from their home show us that she's really struggling to provide the bare necessities for her daughter. She wakes up to a notice from the landlord reminding her that rent is due, and it's a warning of possible eviction. Arya complains to her mother that she's being picked on by teachers and classmates because she doesn't have the $40 needed to buy lunch at school. Jania reassures her, telling her that the money will come today because her job is supposed to pay her. But even at work, trouble follows her. Jania works at a supermarket handling money at the cashier. Her life is full of problems, and on top of that, rude customers only make things worse. And to make matters even harder, her supervisor, Richard, constantly berates her. While she was getting ready to clean the floor, she received a phone call from Arya's school. They asked her to come urgently and as soon as possible. After much pleading and begging, Richard allowed her to leave for just half an hour. Jania went to withdraw the last money she had in her account, $47, but the bank refused because withdrawing it would drop the balance below the minimum required to keep the account open. Jania arrived at the school only to find that the teacher had called Child Protective Services. The social workers came and took Arya away, claiming it was due to neglect. Jania was devastated and heartbroken. She rushed back to work, hoping to get her paycheck. It was her only chance to get her daughter back. In her rush, she overtook a car. The driver of that car started yelling at her and ended up crashing into her. A policewoman arrived at the scene, but the shocking part was that the man who hit her was also a police officer. He began threatening Jania, but the policewoman told him to leave and said she would handle the situation. She then asked Jania to show her driver's license. The problem was, Jania's license had expired. The policewoman gave her a fine and had her car impounded. When Jania arrived at the supermarket 2 hours late, she was hit with a blow she never expected. Richard told her she was fired. He had already given the job to someone else. Jania started begging him in tears, but Richard's heart was cold and showed no sympathy. She asked him about her final paycheck, and he told her it would be mailed to her and that he wouldn't give it to her now. But Jania didn't leave because she desperately needed the money. As she was trying to convince him to hand her the check, two armed robbers suddenly burst in and tried to rob Richard. In a moment of desperation, Jania stepped in. Amid the chaos, she shot one of them. Richard called the police and tried to pin the entire thing on her. In a moment of fear and hysteria, she ended up shooting him too. After killing the robber and Richard, Jania took her paycheck and rushed to the bank across the street from the supermarket. A teller named Tessa asked her to show some form of identification before cashing the check. But Jania remembered that she didn't have any documents on her. She started pleading, but Tessa couldn't break the bank's rules. In a final desperate move, Jania showed her the gun she had taken from the robber. The situation escalated quickly and turned into what looked like a robbery. Tessa pressed the silent alarm. The bank manager, Nicole, got a call from the police and gave them a description of Jania. At that moment, Detective Kai Raymond had already begun investigating the crime scene at the supermarket. After reviewing the surveillance footage and speaking with witnesses, she identified the suspect's name, Jania. Nicole also confirmed that the same woman was now robbing the bank. Jania lost control of herself and began screaming hysterically when she realized they were treating her like some kind of bank robber, even though she had never intended for things to go that far. She let some of the hostages go. In the end, only Nicole, two of her employees, including Tessa, and an elderly woman remained. Things seemed to be calming down until Jania saw a live news broadcast of what was happening. She saw the cop who had crashed into her car and threatened her life, and she became even more terrified for herself. From the beginning, Detective Raymond had shown a deep sense of empathy toward Jania's situation. That empathy only grew stronger when she learned that Jania had also been evicted from her home. One of the hostages started live streaming the conversation between Raymond and Jania. The heartfelt things Jania said about the injustice she had suffered at the hands of the system touched many people's hearts. Even Detective Raymond was deeply moved. It became clear that Raymond was the only one who truly wanted to save Jania's life. Then Raymond revealed a personal truth. She and her mother had once known what it felt like to have nothing, and how society's neglect and people's indifference to others' pain could destroy you. That's why she felt so close to Jania and truly sympathized with her. Once the FBI got involved, things became even more dangerous for Jania. It was clear they were ready to storm the bank and had no problem killing her if necessary. Finally, Detective Raymond found the officer who had previously threatened Jania and kicked him out of the area. Jania told her that now no one could hurt her. She seemed to be on the verge of surrendering. Nicole, who had grown emotionally attached to her, helped reassure her that the officer was really gone. Eventually, while the FBI were trying to unlock Jania's phone, she received a call from her mother, who told her that Arya had died the night before. At this point, the film Straw reveals the painful truth about the long period of instability Jania had been living through. Arya hadn't been with her at all that day. There had been no real call from her school, only a message asking her to pay bills. Still, it becomes clear that Jania wasn't imagining everything. It wasn't just in her head. Most likely, the scene at the school involving Child Protective Services had really happened. But Jania's traumatized mind had reimagined it in a blurry, nightmarish way. Arya had been born prematurely and was always sick. It seems that Child Services eventually gave custody of Arya to her grandmother. Her death was what finally pushed Jania over the edge and made everything spiral out of control. After this heartbreaking realization, Jania appeared to completely lose control. The FBI stormed in and shot her in front of Nicole, who was dragged away. But that wasn't real. Jania was imagining her own death in a moment of panic and trauma. Nicole brought her back to reality. She held Jania's hand and walked out with her, using herself as a human shield so the FBI wouldn't shoot. Detective Raymond stepped out from the line and identified herself, offering to take Jania into custody before anyone could hurt her. Jania survived. As she walked out, she saw a crowd gathered outside in support. People from all over the city had been moved by her words and had come to stand with her in solidarity. For the first time, Jania seemed to feel a bit of peace because she saw with her own eyes that the people saw her as a victim, not a criminal.